Now, one of the best Amazon TV series that I think has been put out in really the last 5 years or so is the 2020 series Hunters. Now, Hunters is based in the late 1970s and stars Al Pacino as Meyer Offerman, a man who's recruited a group to hunt down Nazis hiding and living in the United States and really around the world. Now, this was the second time I watched this series, and it's pretty amazing what one forgets in 4 years. That said, I thought this show had a good storyline, interesting characters, and also was unique. Now, one big flaw I have to point out really quick, this is from season 2, maybe I'm missing something here, is I can't understand something that happens around Jonah's fiance. It's in episode 3 or 4. She answers the phone and starts essentially bad mouthing Jonah. And it surely seems to me like she's either cheating on him or she's a Nazi. And at the end of the show, nothing really happens with her becoming bad. You know, she's clearly not a Nazi. She clearly loves him. I'm not really sure that I understand what exactly was going on there. If you know, definitely comment, because I can't seem to figure it out. Now, after watching this show, switching gears just a bit, let's switch gears. Most of the strength in this show lies in the fact that, well, many Nazis did in fact flee Germany after the war and change identities. While the show surely does create some fictional Nazis, most of the characters are indeed based on real life Nazis from the war, and usually ones from the concentration camps. This makes it intriguing, I think, as it's based on real life. Now, the show dives into real aspects too, like Project Paperclip, for example, all the Nazi scientists coming over, the US going out and recruiting all these Nazi scientists, and they essentially helped get us to the moon, and I believe some other really highly classified projects. So the show only has 2 seasons, which I think is a good number for a show like this. Season 1 revolves around Jonah and his transformation from this average teenager to a Nazi hunter. Also, the season has a big twist in the end around Al Pacino's character, Meyer Offerman. More on that in a bit. Season 2 deals with the group hearing a rumor that Hitler is alive in South America and heading down there to hunt him. Now at this point, Jonah, he's a cold-blooded killer, and he teams up with his great aunt and her Nazi-killing team to apprehend Hitler. Now I thought the show took a pretty big nosedive season 2. Al Pacino appears in flashbacks, but that's about it. Some are good, like him visiting his sister, although I would still think she would recognize him. I don't care how much plastic surgery one would have. Maybe not if separated at a young age. I guess that's a fair point. That said, coming back to the twist from season 1, even after watching the show again, much of it didn't add up. As you might recall, Meyer Offerman is not Meyer Offerman, but is actually the evil doctor Wilhelm Zooks. Somehow, some way, he's able to befriend his past love, Jonah's grandmother, Ruth. Now, Ruth and the real Meyer were in love in the concentration camps and got split up after the war. Still, much of this doesn't make much sense to me. In my opinion, I would think Ruth would be able to recognize that Al Pacino or fake Meyer Offerman wasn't really Meyer Offerman. That just doesn't make sense. They would be older. They would be able to know the same characteristics, the same mannerisms, the same memories. I mean, when you think about it, if you're in love with someone, even if it's been 40 years, you're not going to forget the face, the eyes. If you were very, very young kids, okay, maybe. But if you're in your 20s, you don't really change that much. I mean, I know you change, you put on weight, you lose hair, all that stuff, but not really face-wise. That said, I don't think the twist with Meyer was needed. They could have had a season 2 about hunting Wilhelm Zooks as well. And they could have just left that out, kept Al Pacino as the good guy in the show, or if he didn't want to come back for season 2, they could have just had him get killed dramatically. Now, one thing I have to point out about the show is that the opening scene in the first episode is fantastic. It's the best opening to a show I've seen really in a long time. Nazi Biff slaughters a woman who recognizes him as his whole fam, and really he goes off and kills everyone there. He kills his own family. And I think this would have been better if after the fact we didn't learn Biff was in such a public position. It does kind of lead one to ask, how come no one else spotted him since he's on TV all the time? I can't remember what he was specifically in Washington, D.C., but he was in a pretty public position. I guess you could make the argument that he, back in the 70s, people's faces weren't plastered across, the TV and the internet like now. I mean, unless someone went in the paper specifically and saw that. But switching gears to season 2, one thing I didn't like was how Joe was presented. He's brainwashed and appears to be switching sides at random. I think the writers are trying to show the persuasiveness of the Nazis as they break Joe, who's really a soldier and, just a classic soldier, and they make him one of their own. I don't think this was necessary. They should have left him just as the badass he was. Now, most of the other characters were solid in the film. I do think the end of season 1 was pretty good too, as we saw the hunters destroy the factory, and we also saw, I can't remember her name exactly, but Hitler's wife, who's in the show, very powerful actress, did a great job in her role in that episode, and also she was in season 2 too. In sum, I think this is just an entertaining and interesting show to watch. It's got good acting and a pretty good story for both seasons. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. If you have, let me know any thoughts. Let me know any plot holes that I might have missed or anything you saw. Appreciate it.